When the world first met Priscilla Presley, she was a wide-eyed teenager, swept into the orbit of a man who was already a legend. Elvis Presley was untouchable, magnetic, and mythic, and she was the quiet figure standing beside him, unknowingly stepping into history. For decades, her name was forever linked to his, her story folded into his legend. But now, decades after Elvis's death, Priscilla Presley has once again captured the world's attention, this time for a very different reason. The headlines broke like thunder. Every major outlet, every entertainment feed, every fan community was suddenly abuzz. Priscilla Presley speaks out, they said. But what she revealed wasn't nostalgia. It was confession. For the first time in years, the now 80-year-old icon was pulling back the curtain on the secrets she had carried in silence. Her upcoming memoir, Softly, As I Leave You, promises to tell the story she never could, not even in the shadow of Graceland. It's been a turbulent few years for her. Between legal battles, family rifts, and painful losses, Priscilla has walked through a storm that few could survive. When her daughter Lisa Marie Presley passed away suddenly in 2023, the world watched as grief turned into public controversy. What followed was an inheritance dispute that seemed to tear the Presley family apart. But behind the courtroom doors, behind the tabloid headlines, there was something deeper, an aching desire to protect the last living piece of Elvis's bloodline. In November 2025, as cameras flash again, Priscilla isn't retreating into silence. She's confronting everything head-on. For the first time in decades, she's speaking about the truth behind Graceland, the estate, the will, and what she really thinks about the media's obsession with her every move. "I've been misunderstood my entire life," she said recently during a televised interview. "Now I want to tell my story before anyone else tells it for me." Her words carried a strange weight, part sorrow, part strength. And as the world listened, something unexpected happened. Fans who once viewed her only as Elvis's ex-wife began to see her as something else. A woman who endured the glare of fame, the collapse of love, and the price of loyalty. For Priscilla, survival has always been an art form. In her memoir excerpts, recently leaked online, she writes vividly about those early days in Germany when she first met Elvis as a teenage girl, living with her military family. "He was lonely," she writes, "and so was I. I didn't see a superstar. I saw a soul in pain. But the love that grew between them," she admits, "was as intoxicating as it was isolating. I was living in a dream," she says, "but it wasn't always mine." When she moved into Graceland at just 17, she entered a world that few could imagine, a life of glamour and surveillance, tenderness and control. Elvis adored her, but also shaped her. "I lost sight of who I was," she writes. "Every decision was his, every outfit, every word, every move." It's a reflection that feels hauntingly honest. Even now, in her 80s, her voice trembles with the memory of that gilded cage. For years, Priscilla has guarded the Presley name like a fortress. She was the architect of Graceland's transformation into a global attraction, ensuring Elvis's legacy wouldn't fade into history. Yet that same legacy often came at a price. Her relationship with Lisa Marie, once so close, became strained as fame and finances collided. The pain of a mother losing her daughter never fades, and her eyes, in recent public appearances, carry that quiet sorrow. When Lisa Marie died, fans feared that the Presley family's empire would fracture. And it did. Court filings soon emerged, showing Priscilla challenging aspects of her daughter's trust. Many rushed to paint her as greedy, but insiders say it was never about money. It was about protection, about ensuring the future of her granddaughters, Riley Keough and the twins Finley and Harper. "I've always done what I believed was right for this family," Priscilla told a close friend, even when people didn't understand. The legal dispute eventually settled, but not without scars. Riley Keough, now the sole trustee of her mother's estate, and Priscilla reportedly reached peace. "We're family," Riley said earlier this year. "We've found our balance." But even as the family moved toward healing, Priscilla's decision to finally speak publicly reignited fascination. Her upcoming memoir isn't just a tell-all, it's a reckoning. Sources close to the publisher reveal that Softly, As I Leave You, dives deep into topics she's avoided for years. Her complicated marriage, Elvis's darker moods, and the secrets of Graceland's hidden rooms. It's said to include details about private letters, unreleased recordings, and the emotional collapse she faced after leaving him. It's her final truth, one insider said. She wants the world to understand who she really was. And the timing couldn't be more poignant. This November, a new wave of Presley nostalgia has taken over the internet, fueled by Baz Luhrmann's film Elvis and Sofia Coppola's Priscilla, which portrayed her youth with startling intimacy. The movie's success reignited global interest in her story, but it also stirred up controversy. Some critics accused it of romanticizing a troubling age gap. Others praised it as a raw, feminist reclamation. Priscilla herself said, "It was emotional for me, painful at times, but necessary." At 80, she's not slowing down. In recent weeks, she's been spotted attending film events in Los Angeles and London, wearing her signature auburn hair and serene poise. Yet beneath that calm exterior lies a fierce determination. "I want my story to end on my own terms," she told Variety in a recent interview. "For so long, I lived in someone else's story. Now, I'm writing mine." That statement resonated around the world. The internet lit up with posts celebrating her strength. Younger fans, many born decades after Elvis' death, shared clips of her speeches, calling her a symbol of endurance and authenticity. "She's survived fame, loss, and judgment," one post read. "She's the last standing queen of a bygone empire." In Memphis, Graceland remains the heart of her legacy. The candlelight vigils, the annual gatherings, the walls covered in love letters from fans, they all continue. But for Priscilla, Graceland isn't just a museum, it's a memory palace. "Every room holds a piece of him," she once said softly, "but it also holds a piece of me." That duality, love and loss intertwined, defines her. The financial side of the Presley estate has always drawn speculation. Reports estimate that Graceland generates tens of millions annually, yet Priscilla has repeatedly emphasized that money isn't her motivation. "I've never been about wealth," she said. "It's about preservation, of the music, the spirit, the family." It's why she continues to oversee projects tied to Elvis' name, including a new Graceland exhibit debuting in early 2026, rumored to feature unseen footage from the King's final concerts. Still, critics question her choices. Why speak now? Why reveal more when silence has kept her safe for so long? But to Priscilla, silence has become a burden. "I don't want my truth buried with me," she said recently. "Elvis had his songs. This book is mine." The memoir isn't just about Elvis. It's also about her evolution. After their divorce in 1973, she rebuilt her life in Hollywood, becoming an actress, businesswoman, and producer. Her role on Dallas, her ventures into fragrance and fashion, all reflected a woman determined to prove she was more than someone's ex-wife. Yet no matter how much she achieved, the media always pulled her back into the orbit of the king. And that's why this moment feels different. For the first time, she isn't speaking for Elvis. She's speaking for herself. The vulnerability in her voice, the tremor in her words. It feels real, authentic. Decades of poise have given way to something raw. She describes her grief for Lisa Marie as a wound that never closes. She recalls the last conversation they shared, about life, forgiveness, and the burden of being a Presley. "We were finally at peace," she says quietly. "I just wish we had more time." As she promotes her memoir, she's also revisiting old memories of her and Elvis's early days. The laughter, the chaos, the nights spent listening to music in the dark halls of Graceland. "He wasn't perfect," she admits, "but neither was I. We were two people trying to hold on to something bigger than both of us." It's a confession that humanizes both icons. Recently, her granddaughters, Riley, Finley, and Harper, appeared on a magazine cover together, celebrating unity after years of tension. Fans noted that the photo shoot felt like a symbolic passing of the torch, 3 generations of Presley women reclaiming their narrative. Elvis would be proud, Priscilla said tearfully when asked about it. He always wanted his family together. Behind the fame and fortune, though, Priscilla's personal life remains marked by solitude. Friends describe her as reflective, sometimes lonely. She spends time writing, gardening, and visiting Graceland privately when the gates are closed to the public. "It's where I go to talk to him," she confided once. "It's where I still feel him the most." And maybe that's why her latest revelations hit so hard. Beneath all the fame, the lawsuits, and the cameras, she's still the young woman who loved a man the world refused to let her have. The woman who watched him fall apart under the weight of his own legend. The woman who had to find herself again in the aftermath of a dream. Now, at this stage of her life, Priscilla Presley stands not as an accessory to history, but as its witness. Her eyes, lined with decades of love and loss, seem to carry both the pain of what's gone and the peace of what remains. The little girl from Brooklyn who became a queen of rock and roll's Golden Palace has finally come full circle. In one of the most striking lines from her forthcoming memoir, she writes, "We were both trying to save each other from loneliness, but in the end, it's what kept us together and what tore us apart." The honesty of that sentence has stunned early readers. It's the voice of a woman who has nothing left to prove, only truths left to tell. As publication day nears, pre-orders have already shattered expectations. Major networks are preparing exclusive interviews, and talk shows are competing for the chance to have her on. It's clear, the world still listens when Priscilla Presley speaks. But this time, it isn't about Elvis. It's about survival, forgiveness, and freedom. When asked what she hopes readers will take from her story, she smiled faintly. "That love doesn't end," she said. "It changes shape, it moves through generations, but it never dies. That's what Elvis taught me. That's what Lisa taught me. And that's what I want my granddaughters to know." Her voice broke slightly on that last word. Then she paused, gathered herself, and whispered, "I'm still here." And indeed, she is. Still standing, still elegant, still carrying the weight of the Presley name with grace. Still guarding the memory of a man who changed music forever. Still rewriting the ending of a story that began over 60 years ago in a world that no longer exists. Priscilla Presley's life has been many things: scandal, sacrifice, survival, but above all, it has been an odyssey. And as she finally steps out of the shadows of Graceland, the world is realizing something it should have known all along. She was never just a chapter in Elvis's story. She was and remains the author of her own. And perhaps, when the lights fade and the books are closed, the true story of the Presley legacy won't just be about fame or fortune, but about a woman who refused to let her love or her voice be forgotten. The lights dim over Graceland. The crowd outside has thinned, the last of the candles flickering in the Memphis night. A chill runs through the air, carrying with it the sound of distant music, soft, almost ghostly. It's Elvis, or maybe just memory pretending to be him. Inside, behind closed doors, Priscilla Presley sits quietly near a window, watching the glow fade. It's late, the kind of late that feels eternal. The house creaks like an old ship on a still ocean. Every corner, every framed photograph, every whisper of laughter caught in those walls seems to hum with ghosts. "Sometimes," she once said, "I feel like the house breathes with him." The camera would linger on her hands, still elegant, resting lightly in her lap. She looks out into the night, where the iron gates still stand as they always have. Tourists will return in the morning, snapping photos of the legend's home, unaware that the woman who built its second life still visits in silence. Her voice breaks through the quiet. "It's never really been about the past. It's about what the past teaches you, about love, loss, and forgiveness." That word, forgiveness, hangs in the air. For decades, Priscilla was blamed, praised, idolized, dissected. She was too young, too quiet, too controlling, too independent. Everyone had an opinion, few had compassion. Now, as she prepares to release the final piece of her truth, she's no longer asking to be understood, she's asking to be seen. People forget, she says, that behind every legend there's a human being who bleeds just like everyone else. Cut to old footage. Elvis and Priscilla stepping out of a car in 1967, flashbulbs exploding around them. She smiles, her eyes full of wonder. He reaches for her hand. In slow motion, their fingers touch, an image frozen in time, yet endlessly replayed. The narrator's voice lowers. What the world saw was perfection. What they lived was pressure. She remembers the nights when fame became a prison, when the man she loved was fading behind the walls of his own myth. He was hurting, she admits, and I couldn't fix it. Silence again. Then the faint sound of a piano, an old recording of Can't Help Falling in Love, echoes faintly beneath her words. In her new memoir, she writes about the final days, the isolation, the worry, the way she still kept his toothbrush by the sink long after she'd left. I couldn't let go, she says. Not of him. Not of the dream. Her story isn't just about Elvis. It's about every woman who's had to rebuild herself from the ruins of love. Every person who's lived in the shadow of someone extraordinary. Every soul that's ever had to learn that survival doesn't mean forgetting. It means transforming. Now, at 80, Priscilla Presley is not just a survivor. She's a storyteller. And her story isn't ending. It's evolving. The upcoming release of Softly As I Leave You has become more than a memoir. It's a farewell letter to the world she once shared with him. When asked if she fears how the public will react, she smiles gently. They'll say what they always say. But this time, I'll be at peace with it. Her words carry a stillness that only time can teach. She's no longer chasing approval. She's writing for herself, for Lisa Marie, for Riley, for the twins, and for the young girl she used to be, sitting in a German living room, falling in love with a dream. A clip rolls of young Priscilla, radiant in an old interview, talking about Elvis's laugh. She smiles shyly, remembering the joy. Then we cut to present day. Her face older, wiser, but her eyes unchanged. He could make the whole world disappear with just one smile, she whispers. The scene fades to black, then reopens on Graceland's gates at dawn. A new day. A new generation of visitors arriving. Some clutch flowers, some clutch phones, all searching for a piece of something eternal. And somewhere inside, unseen, Priscilla watches from a window, a gentle smile touching her lips. She knows what they're all looking for: connection, love, legacy. And she knows it's already there, in every song that still plays, in every heart that still beats to the rhythm of a man who changed music forever. The narrator's voice returns, calm and reverent. The king may have left the building, but the queen, the keeper of his flame, remains. As the final pages of her memoir go to print, advance reviewers call it hauntingly beautiful, a love letter to the past, and the final chapter of the Elvis legend told by its last witness. But to Priscilla, it's simpler than that. It's my truth, she says, and that's enough. In one of the closing lines of Softly As I Leave You, she writes, I used to think love ended when someone left. But love doesn't end. It just changes address. Those words linger long after the book is closed. As the credits roll over slow footage of Graceland glowing beneath the Tennessee sun, we hear her voice one last time. It's soft, almost a whisper. People ask me what I'd say to him now. I'd tell him that I kept my promise. I took care of our home. I took care of our family. And I never stopped loving him. The music swells, a gentle orchestral blend of Love Me Tender. The scene fades, the sound of cicadas rising in the background, the camera pulling away from Graceland's white columns until the house becomes just a silhouette. And then, a final image, a single rose laid at the gates, a symbol of love that never left. a symbol of a woman who carried the legend long after the applause stopped. Priscilla Presley's story is no longer just about who she loved. It's about who she became. And in the quiet of Graceland, where echoes still hum through the air, her truth finally finds its home.